I'm with my client Zach. Zach is the Assistant Director of the Construction Department at Preston College. He has been working with me for the past 1.5 years, and he is looking to go and compete in CrossFit and High Rocks in the later end of this year. So as part of this session, we're going to be incorporating different aspects of both CrossFit and High Rocks based on strength. So for the first part, we're going to have Zach to go on the rower, and then following from that, we'll do some mobility stretching. Following that, we will do some squats, some mid-thigh power cleans, and some wall ball throws. So Zach, do you have any injuries or anything like that you need to go through?
No injuries at all.
So for the first part, like I just mentioned, we're going to be going on the rower. We're going to be spending 10 minutes on the rower on level 10 to ensure your blood flow is increased, heart rate's up, ensuring that there's no persistent injuries that I need to be aware of. And then whenever you're ready, make sure your back's nice and straight. Pull the bar into your chest to get the full range of motion, similar to the High Rock standards. And we'll spend 10 minutes on that. We're looking for about 28 to 32 rows per minute. So whenever you're ready, Zach, you can just carry on.
Thank you.
Yeah, try and maintain that speed for me. As we don't want you to burn out before the main session. Whilst you're rowing, Zach, try and ensure your chest is upright, because in High Rocks they're going to be very critical on your posture and technique and some of the movements. That's good work. So how are you feeling?
Good.
Good?
I remember some great.
I don't want this to be good. But now we're going to get back into the swing of things, and hopefully by the end of the year you'll be able to compete your first High Rocks or CrossFit, whichever one you're doing.
Sounds like it.
Yes, keep that speed up for me. So we're going to do this for 10 minutes to make sure your heart rate is adequately high enough so that enough blood has flown through your muscles to get started on the main session. The great thing about the row is non-weight bearing, so it's not putting a lot of pressure on your joints or your feet or your hands. So now Zach, that we've done the warm-up, we've got your heart rate up high enough. What we're going to do, we're going to do some downline stretching, mobility work. So the first part of this will be some deep lunges. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to demonstrate for you. Just stand there for me. What I would like to see is you take one stride and a half forward. You're going to bring this knee down to the floor so you've got a 90-degree bend in your leg. That is going to help when you lean into it. Your knee's going to come over your foot and you're going to feel a deep stretch in your quad. Your quad's going to be important as part of your main session. It's going to incorporate your squat and your mid-thigh power cleans, okay? And then from there, lean back, stand up, and then you swap legs, making sure that leg is touching the ground and you lean into it properly. You're going to hold it for about 2 seconds per side, and then stand back up and repeat. So all you do is start there, you're going to go down to the end, which is about 8 meters, and then you're going to do it back.
Perfect.
So when you're ready, yeah, then from there you're going to lean into it, make sure you feel that stretch in your quad. If you don't feel it, the next stride, just bring your leg a little bit closer into your body.
Yeah.
Making sure you have that nice deep stretching. Got new trainers as well.
New trainers.
All for this special occasion.
This is it, yeah. Can't remember what we showed on the video.
And last one. There we go. So now, all you do, you're going to do something called open and close the gates. Mainly the open part is what we're going to focus on. So you're going to stand shoulder width apart, like similar to a boxer or a combat sport. All you're going to do is lift your knee up about 90 degrees and you're going to twist it out, making sure to not twist your hips too much before bringing your leg back down, and then you're just going to swap sides and repeat, bringing that leg up to 90 degrees, out and back down. That's going to start to open up your hips and it's going to lead into the next part of the mobility session.
Perfect.
So when you're ready, get that leg up to 90 degrees for me and then swing it out behind you. There we go. Next one. There you go. Try and have a bit of a stance on you, similar to how a boxer would.
Yeah.
And then up to about 90 degrees and just allow your knee to come out to the side and back down. There we go. Now just swap legs for me. Going to do the same thing again. So stand.
Sorry, back into stance again.
Back into a stance. There you go.
Yeah.
So once you've done one, pull that leg back and you're just going to bring that leg forward to swap sides.
Right.
And then from there just walk to the end and then walk back for me. Okay, and turn around, put back the other way. So what I want you to do this time on the way back is just bring your knee up and stay stationary for a little minute to get your balance before bringing it back out and down. Because you're losing your balance a little bit, so you just need to bring it up a little bit slower and bring it back. There you go. It's not going to be perfect starting off doing this, but over time, over the next several months, it'll get a lot easier. Okay, now what I want you to do is something called a 90-90. So what you're going to do, you're going to sit down on the floor. You can either put your hands behind you, or if you're feeling confident, have your arms off the floor. And all you're going to do from here is bring your knees down to the floor. Whichever knee is in line with you, so for me it's my left knee, that's going to be touching the back of your heel of your other foot, so in this instance it's my right foot. Then from there, I'm going to bring it back up nice and slow and repeat the other way. So now my right knee will be in line with my torso and it's going to be next to my left heel and back. But again, if you feel like that's a bit too janky for you, lean back into it a little bit, not too much, don't want to be something. Just allow your hip to come down nice and slow.
That sounds good.
Yeah, from the nice and slow one way, and then bring it up nice and slow again. Allow your hips to open up a little bit. But then quite good. So this is going to help open up your hip joints, especially for the squat later on, because if you don't open up your hips, it's just going to lead to a lot of like instabilities and restriction in movement. So you're going to do that 5 times each side.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Good. So now the last part of the mobility session, or the mobility part of it, apart from your wrist, is something called pass-through. So what you're going to do with the resistance band, you're going to have it nice and lax, put a little bit of tension on, but not too much because we don't want it nice and stretched out. We want a little bit of tension, not too much though. Now what you're going to do from here is put your knuckles down to the floor first, Lift your arms up above your head so the band will be at the top, and just allow your arms to come behind you. Naturally, the band will give resistance because your arms want to open up naturally, but we want to minimalise that. And then bring that band back down so it's at the bottom of your back here. And then what you're going to do is repeat the process the opposite way. So it's going to start off on your waist in front and repeat.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Does, yeah.
Okay, if I give you the band. So again, you're going to start it off with a little bit of tension, your knuckles pointing towards the floor. And then from here, you're going to lift it with your arms nice and straight above your head and allow them to come behind you, trying to keep your arms nice and straight. So I did notice you have a little bit of flexion in your arms, so what we need to do is just keep that nice and straight. Is this the first time you're doing this movement?
Yes.
Yeah. So naturally you do want to bend your arms a little bit to make it easier, but we want to keep that nice and straight. Because the focus is going to be on the shoulder joint. So allowing the ball and socket joint to loosen up. It's going to engage rotating across your deltoids and a little bit of your chest and your traps as well. And over time it will get easier because your joint and your shoulders will become more used to the movement. So we'll be doing that 10 times up above your head to make sure the joint is nice and loose. How does that feel for you? Obviously it's your first time doing it, but how does it feel?
It feels good. I want to bend straight away, keeping that straight. I can see with yours, you're much more flexible, so I'm putting quite a lot of tension at the top of that. But the more that I'm focusing on keeping my arms straight, the better that feels.
The flexibility part will come in time, so it's not going to be you're instantly flexible straight away. It's a repetitive motion. The more you do it, the easier it will become. And over the next 8 to 10 months of us working together, it will become easier. We'll do some other mobility exercises. Fantastic. So just do another 4 more of those for me. There you go, that's 1. Try and bring your arms a little bit in, make it a little bit easy, a little difficult for yourself.
Yeah.
There you go. Because I didn't notice it was stroking the top of your head.
Yeah, it's going there, that one.
Obviously, we want to try and keep as much hair as we can. I'm a prime example of that. So just 2 more. Last one. There we go. I just picked the man. You've got one there.
Thank you.
So the last one is going to be more of a martial arts and boxing background, but it's just going to be you're grasping your hand and you're just going to do some wrist rotations together. So again, like I said, with my background, it's more predominantly used for like martial artists, but it can be used in other sports as well, such as the clean and jerks. So you need to have good wrist mobility. So what I want you to do is just bring your hands together. Don't bring your elbows together. Just allow them a little bit of room in between. And all you're going to do from there is do some rotations one way, nice and slow, get that wrist moving. So we're going to do that for 10 seconds. And then you're going to do it the other way. There we go. So naturally you might feel your wrist click.
Yeah, I was just about to mention, and in both directions,
A lot of the time that is just a release of gas in your cartilage and your joints, so it's nothing too worrisome. Unless it's massive cracks and you feel pain in your wrist. But
it felt quite freeing, to be honest, though,
okay.
in terms of.
That's good. So after all that, do you feel ready to go into the main session?
I do.
Smash. Okay, Zach, so as part of the main strength session, we're going to incorporate the squat into the movement. Have you done squats before?
Once or twice.
Once or twice, okay. So I'll go through the technique with you. So all I want you to do is grab hold of the bar, just a little bit wider than the shoulder width. That's going to give your arms and shoulders a nice comfortable position to grasp under the bar. From here, and then dip down underneath the bar. So there's two ways you can do it. You can either do a high bar, which is on top of your traps, or you can do a low bar, which is a little bit lower down, about shoulder level. That's a bit more of an advanced technique, so I'd rather you go on the high bar. From there, you're going to lift the bar up so you're nice and straight. Take a step back so you're not going to interact with the frame. Have your feet about shoulder width apart with your toes pointing outwards. That's going to allow your hips to open up a little bit, so you have a greater range of motion in the movement. From here, you're going to push your bum back, so you're going to hinge your glutes, keep your chest up nice and straight, and you're just going to lower the bar and yourself down, so your hips and your knees are about 90 degrees. And then from here, nice and slow back up. What we don't want to see is you bending your legs and then hinging your back. That's just going to cause a lot of issues later on down the line. So I'll put this bar back. Okay, are you happy with that, or would you like to go through it one more time?
Makes perfect sense, thank you.
Okay. Yep, and take a step back. Now have your stance a little bit wider than shoulder width. And have your toes pointing outwards slightly, not an excessive amount where you're like you're going to do the duck walk, but enough so you can open up your hips a little bit. Then from there, keep your chest up and hinge your bum back first, and then start to lower yourself down into the movement. There we go, and back up to the top. How does that feel for you? Okay, you're going to repeat that 6 times for me. Two more for me. There we go, now put the bar back for me. There we go. So now what we're going to do, we're going to do 3 sets of 6. The reason why we're doing 3 sets of 6 is 1, we don't want to tire ourselves out for the other movements coming later on, and 2, this stereotypical rep range to train strength is somewhere between 1 to 6 reps. There are deviations in there, so between 4 and 6 reps can increase power output, and then 1 to 4 is just purely strength. But what we want to do with you being a beginner is start with the higher rep range, lower the weight, but after every set we're going to increase the weight slightly, so it might be 1.25 each side or 2.5s each side. We don't want to cause unnecessary injury. Perfect. So what would you like to start? Like, the bar is 20, what weight do you normally start off with?
Should we start with 10s?
Yeah, so
a quick question for you, in terms of my training routine outside of this professional training session, personal training session, is how much would I work this activity?
So in terms of the session that we're going to do today with you, I wouldn't recommend doing the movements in the session more than 3 times per week. With you being a beginner, we don't want you to rush into things or overload too much, because that can cause risk of injury or wear out you might feel like mentally. You don't want to do it anymore because you've just overworked yourself, you just drained of energy. We want to do it in a progressive manner, progressive overload. So I wouldn't recommend doing this more than 3 times per week, with rest days in between to allow your body to recover a little bit. So again, this, as part of your set 1, it's going to be 6 reps. Again, increasing your foundational strength. So whenever you're ready, same thing again, grab hold of the bar, feet shoulder width apart. Sorry, a little bit wider than the shoulder width. And then get a nice deep stretch in the bottom. good. That's rep 5, one more for me. Good. Now put the bar back. We're going to have a 2-minute rest and then we'll go again. Okay, Zach, so the next part of the session is going to be something called a mid-thigh pull. So, have you done this movement before?
I'm not sure, I don't think I have.
Okay, so from here, imagine you're going to start off in a deadlift position. So you're going to have your hands just a little bit wider than shoulder width, with your feet shoulder width apart. From here, you need to keep your back nice and straight. Hinge your bum back first. You're going to lower the bar down just above your knee. And then from here, you're going to lift up the bar but thrust into it at the same time. And curl your wrists. So the main emphasis on this is the wrist motion. Getting your elbows under with a little flick. But to make it easier for yourself, dip down into it. So imagine you're catching it. So I'll repeat that one more time. So what you're going to do, nice and straight, hinge your bum back, let the bar come just above your knee, and then from here, thrust into the bar, and then flick your elbows underneath with a loose grip on your hands. This is important, like the wrist mobility before, because it's putting a lot of pressure on your wrists, so we need to have them nice and loose. Okay? Would you like to give that a go for me?
Let's do it.
Yep, so you're going to start shoulder width apart, hands a little bit wider than shoulder width. All you're going to do from there, back nice and straight, hinge your bum back, allow the bar to come above your knee, and then from there you're going to lift up, thrust into the bar, and there you go. A little bit janky, but understandable with it being your first time. So we just need to get that movement a little bit smoother. So do it a little bit slower first. So from there, allow it to come up and then flick your wrist and dip underneath it. So do that 2 more times for me. So allow your arms to be nice and straight. Just allow it to come down and then lift up, thrust into it, and then flick your elbows underneath. There we go. And then put the bar back down. How did that feel for you?
Good. A little bit janky. I think
Yeah.
we need to get a little bit better at the motion there. But I understood the process.
Yeah, so the good thing about this is in recent studies, the mid-thigh power clean helps increase something called RFD, or rates of force development. So that is the amount of force you can generate in like a short amount of time. This movement will help increase that. So all we're going to do, we're going to add a little bit of weight on. So we're going to add the 5 kilograms on either side, and we're going to repeat the process. We're going to do 3 sets of 4. Again, keeping it within that 4 rep range. To 1, not fatigue yourself too much, and 2, allow enough force to go through the movement. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to throw on the 5s. So again, with this being your first real attempt at the movement, we don't want to go too heavy, but we want to add enough weight where you can increase your RFD. Perfect. Okay, so pick the bar back up for me. Now again, from there, what you're going to do, I'll lower the bar down, just above your knee, and then from there, start to thrust into the movement and flick your elbows underneath to catch the bar. Still a little bit janky at the top, but as soon as you thrust it, just flick your elbows under. It's getting better, but try and keep your arms straight until you've done your thrusting movement.
Training a robot.
Understandable, it's your first time doing it. There we go. Now you've done 4, put the bar down for me. So over the next 6 to 8 weeks, we'll try and work on that technique, but increasing the weight as we go. Again, what we want to have is your arm nice and straight until you've done the thrusting motion.
Yeah.
So maybe next set, shrug your shoulders to try and keep your arm nice and straight and dip down into it. Okay, Zach, as part of your last exercise of the session, we're going to do something called a lateral wall ball throw. So this is a form of ballistic training. It's going to increase your strength level, but it's all about generating as much force as you can throughout the movement. So what we're going to do, you can either start with your feet like square on in front of you, or you can have a little bit of a stance. I prefer a stance, I feel more comfortable in it. Imagine you're going to be throwing a rugby ball to another teammate. So from here, you're going to start with the ball at the side of you, and all you're going to do is throw the ball into the wall as hard as you can, as fast as you can, generating as much force into the movement. Imagine you're like firing a gun, you need to be ballistic with the movement. That's how I remember it. So we're going to do 3 sets of 4 reps. Again, the 3 set rule, we don't want to wear you out, because that was all with the squats, the mid-thigh power cleans, and this. It can be a lot if you're doing 5, 6, 7 rep like sets, and we're keeping it within the 4 rep range to maximise the power or strength output. Okay, so once you've done 4 one side, you're going to turn around and do 4 the other side. Thank you. So that's 1. Good amount of power. Throwing through 2. 3. Good. Now what you do is switch sides. You will be facing away from me, but do the same thing again. So my second one will be on the left side, just throw into the wall as hard as you can.
This is my weaker side as well, so I think
that's good. So with that, if you stood with a bit of a stance like that, you can twist your back foot into it. Imagine throwing a punching boxing.
Yeah.
Twisting that back foot will help you generate more force because it's more flicking motion. And it's also used in rugby, so if you watch a rugby player, when they throw a ball, their foot hits into it. There we go, 1. That's good. 2. 3. Last one. There we go. So now we're going to have a 2-minute rest before going into the next one. The general rule is between 1 to 2 minute rest if you're just training strength. But personally, I would rest as long as I feel comfortable, as long as you're ready to do the next set. But that is the general consensus. Yeah, good with that?
Perfect.
Okay, Zach, it's now come to the end of the session, so we need to do a little bit of a cool down, and we'll do a little bit of mobility work at the end as well. So what I want you to do is you're going to spend 5 minutes on the rower. You're not going to go as fast as you did before, so we're looking for around 20 strokes per minute in terms of rowing. We're maintaining posture, keeping your chest upright, legs extended at the very end of the movement. Make sure you strap yourself as well. But whenever you're ready to strap yourself in, again, we're not going to go as fast as we did before. We need to bring the heart rate back down. But whilst you're on the rower, how was that session for you?
Really good, really informative. I think I've learned a lot about what I need to do over the next year. Certainly with the upper half of the power clean motion, I think there's a lot of learning for me to do there to get that a little bit more fluent, but I felt really supportive throughout the process.
Oh, that's good. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do, nice and slow, engage the movement. We're looking on the rower about 20 strokes per minute, so it's not as quick as it was before. But again, making sure that heart's coming up to just below your chest. There we go. There we go. Like I said, we're going to do it for around 5 minutes, and then we're going to go back over to the sled row, and we'll do some basic mobility work. Okay, Zach, so the last part of the session, what I want to do is it's going to be a lot of static stretching, so that in terms of doing a coaching session or when you go on your road to do this sort of workout, you normally do dynamic stretching like we did at the start. You do that before you work out to make sure the joints and the muscles are stretching off during movement. and at the end of it you're going to do some static stretching. So all I want you to do, similar thing again, you're just going to lunge into it, but you're not going to walk up and down, you're going to be stationary, you're just going to lean into it, and you're going to hold that stretch for about 10 seconds each side. Make sure your knee comes above your foot, or if you have good mobility, over the top of your foot, but try and keep that heel down on the floor. Once you've done that, swap sides, make sure it's about 90 degrees, lean into it, making sure that stretch is nice and in there.
Magic.
There we go. So you're going to hold that for around 10 seconds. There we go. So with that, you'll feel in the back leg a nice deep stretch in the quad. Okay, now the next one, what we want you to do is, are you going to step forward? So one foot's going to be in front of the other. You're going to lean back, point that toe up to the sky, and you're just going to hinge back, making sure you get a nice stretch in your hamstring and your glute. No, your glute, your hamstring, and your calf muscle. It's going to predominantly be in your calf muscle, but if you can get the stretch in your hamstring, that'll be a good bonus as well.
That's it.
So again, you're going to hold that for between 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah, I can feel that.
That's good to know. There we go. Now all I want you to do is nice and slow, just do some arm rotations. So it's going to be a very similar movement to the pull through on the band, but you're just going to do a stationary, and just allow your arms to rotate around in circles. What I tend to do is 5 backwards, 5 forwards, slow. So if you wouldn't mind doing that for me.
On the top.
Again, once you've done 5 backwards, do 5 forwards. Okay, so overall, what do you feel about the session?
Really good, challenging, but in a positive way about getting my flexibility right and getting my mobility right, but really enjoyed it, really good.
No, that's good. So over the next 3 weeks, we will focus more on getting technique right for the mid-thigh power clean. With it being your first time doing it, it's not going to be perfect, but over the next few weeks, we will work on that technique. So the next session, that'll be the main focus.